Hello and welcome. This is the Tower Coffee Hour coming to you from Mueller in Austin, Texas. I'm your host, Ty Tyree. Today, we have a great opportunity to talk to one of the candidates for District 9 on our Ballot Mueller series. We're going to be talking with Kym Olson, and it's a name that most of us aren't really familiar with. I wasn't, so I had to do a little digging, but Kym has made herself available out there on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and they're all easy to get to because it says Kym Olson at the end, Kymolson. So the one that struck me though was Kym knows somebody who does a great job in art. So here we go. Kym, we will, Austin City Council 9. I've got to go talk to this lady, so let's go see what she's up to. Welcome, Kym.
Hi, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, this is so much fun, and it just follows on, and it gives the people of Mueller a chance to meet you, which they may not have had a chance to do yet. So
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad to be here.
all right, I've got to ask you, the first question is, what are you, crazy?
I am. That's what kind of makes this fun. I've just been here so long, or around here, and been such a part of the community, and just watching the way it's going right now, while it's kind of a crazy decision, but I just couldn't let this opportunity go, especially with the new district and an open seat. It just was kind of a right time and a right, if I'm going to do this, it's a really good time for me to do this, and it might not happen again. Yep. So
it's been a long time since this district has been open, and we've had two really, really good city council members, Kathy Tovo and Chris Riley.
Oh, that's right.
Can't believe I lost Chris Riley in there.
That's right.
They've been good for the city, I think, both of them.
Right.
What are you thinking in terms of changes? I'm going to, make you queen for a day, and you can change anything you want to. What's the one thing that you would change in the city of Austin?
I would change. Actually, I would probably just stop for a second, just to address the problems at hand before we go on changing the city into these bigger, more aggressive plans. We've got a lot of problems. I would like to walk around the city again. I'd like to walk after dark without fear, just like walking up and down this South Congress Avenue after dark. I live down there for the walkability, and I'm sure y'all have seen this maybe a little too, about the crime at night. It's just getting so dangerous down there. It kind of is, taking you can't drive a block or two down there. There's nowhere to park. The point is to be able to walk.
Sure.
And, it gets kind of sketchy at night. You have to keep a close eye out, or keep your favorite people that kind of hang out there on your side. You'll be okay. But
eyes on the street. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I heard was public safety in that message.
Right.
I'm not sure you're aware of it, and I'm not sure how many people here are aware of it, but I sat for 6 years on the Public Safety Commission, and I got a chance to look at that from their side of it. I went through the Citizens Academy at the police force and that kind of stuff. So yes, it's a point that's high on my list of things as public safety.
I bet so. Maybe you should come back into service.
I've gotten old enough. I've outlived that.
Maybe you're the guy we need.
But our budget, our total budget is $5 billion. Everybody looks at it and says, "Oh my God!" Yeah, but the general fund budget is $1.3 billion. But 67% of that, I think, in the new budget, goes to police, fire, and EMS. So let's call it 70, just for fun. 70% of our general fund budget, goes to police, fire, and EMS. And it's not enough. We're not spending enough to get the people we need on the streets. So what are you going to do about that, Council Member Olson?
Well, I don't think it might be, believe it or not, it might not just be about the money. I think I think you have a lot of issues and trust just amongst the ranks themselves. I think you have a lot of trust between the police and the city. I'm not sure that the officers are saying the same thing as their leadership. And then, of course, they don't have any trust with the city because they've been sitting on that contract negotiation for so long. I mean, how do you think our recruiting is going when you're like, we can't really ensure your future benefits or plans or salary, but please sign up with this? I mean, you're kind of, you're kind of cutting your own ankle or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think we need to just kind of start building. It kind of goes along with building back the community feel that I feel like we've lost. I don't think we've kind of lost the, you see like the musician community or the Capitol community or the campus community, that they grow together and seem to help each other and give a little bit more. And I know that's the way we used to be here, but it seems we've lost that. So I really would like to maybe work on ways we can develop trust, get these contract negotiations moving again, maybe bring in more stakeholders or, look at it from a couple of different angles. I think, the one thing that upsets everybody is the mental health portion. Clearly we've got not near enough police officers to maintain the force as it is. And we've got all other kind of internal problems going on over there. It would just be so much better if we could just have a whole separate system, a whole mental health system, and instead of 911 or a 311, make it a 211, or just want to make it another number and have another set of resources available to these calls, because they really don't fall between a 3 and a 9. But again, I guess we all call 3 unless our life's in immediate jeopardy now. So I'm not sure it's not available to everybody either. But yeah. I just think that was one thing, like especially in the neighborhood and things just talking about amongst friends, amongst the city. It's just something we all wish we had, because if you didn't have health insurance during the whole COVID and the blizzard and all of that, you didn't have mental. I mean, it's over $100 a visit, even on the TV or but yeah, I would like to see those two just split completely apart, and that way you have your social, your benefit, your help group, and then you have your let's go stop crime. But with the contract negotiations, I mean, we're getting the bottom of the barrel. I mean, we can't expect to have police officers coming onto our force with pristine records and top of the class recruits. I mean, that doesn't seem to make any sense, about as much sense as me running for city council. There's that. Yes, enough is enough, if you will.
Well, that's a discussion about public safety and the police and the contract and all that. But you mentioned something earlier that I want to get back to. You talked about a walkable community, and I think we can expand that to be an affordable community. What does an affordable community look like in Austin? It's that we're in crisis, I think.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think that's an immediate problem. And I think the way it's kind of being couched, if you will, it doesn't really have a good definition, and it's just affordability without, I mean, they've done some housing like, well, maybe it's this and maybe, which those kind of look questionable even as is. I think we should do our own research and not base it off of HUD and maybe do a little further impact. I think, I also think it's not just housing that's a part of the affordability. I mean, everything goes into that. I mean, from the parking meter to just every little bit goes into the affordability. So, maybe you get somebody a house downtown at a cheaper rent, but they're still going to have to be able to pay for all the downtown services and downtown things that go along with that. We need to think about it as a bigger picture, like, every time I walk down Congress Avenue and another business is shut, I mean, they can't afford it. These are mom and paws that have been there forever, like Mikasa or Lucy's. Not just that I don't want to say that anymore, but we thought about trying to go buy everything out the back on the last day and open a truck, but Lucy too. But this is kind of heartbreaking, and we're a tourist town, and I feel like these are some of the things that people come and see. And I think, I'm not talking about your major stores. I'm just talking about our little mom and pa's that are getting priced out. So I guess if they all go, does anybody really want to live here if their jobs are not here anymore? I mean, we need to start looking at that too, and maybe take everything into consideration and see what we can do. And then the other problem I have with affordability is our neighborhood. I mean, it's just that they're trying to price us out to price others in. It's just going to create a terrible death. I was calling it the death spiral the other day, because I mean that's not fair. And then if I get kicked out, do I get on a VIP list to get back in, or do I go to the end of the list? How's this going to work out? I think something, I don't disagree, this is a huge problem, but I think we need to bring in more stakeholders, and we have a lot of experts in District 9. I mean, not to mention what starts here changes the world. I mean, and then policy and social and musician, there's not a sector or genre, or I can't even think, category I can think of that we don't have an expert in just this one little bubble. And why don't we engage them more? We give everything to all these tech companies. We're a high-tech city that come in and live here. I mean, shouldn't they be at the table giving back to the community? And since I started doing this, I started calling experts that I knew or friends of friends in the different areas. Everyone I talked to would be more than happy to sit at a table and engage and help out if they were asked. So I just found that kind of an interesting way, and maybe a different way to approach policy, so we could get a better size and scope of what we're really looking at here, than just kind of, okay, let's do this because it's hurting this, So
a lot of the candidates, from the mayoral candidates on down, are talking about land development code. What have you thought about it? Have you put out a statement about it? I haven't heard it if you have, but what do you think about the land development code? It's 1984 was when it was written, and this is no longer 1984. Our world has changed, our climate has changed, our population has, gone crazy. What do we need to do about land development code?
When I just thought of Austin in the 80s, I just thought of how 6th Street used to be. So much fun. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I enjoyed the 80s, but we certainly don't want to live on the 80s, that's for sure. And I think the problem with some of these plans are some of the problems we need to address before we start doing anything further. For example, some of the water experts, policy experts I've talked to, most of them feel that the added density is why, you've got the Colorado River that runs from south of Lubbock to the Gulf of Mexico, and just our little spot is the one that kills dogs. And I'm just like, most of them feel that the density that has been added already is what's adding to that problem. And I think we need to address that. I don't know how y'all are power-wise over here, but we get a blackout every couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not for long periods of time, but we all kind of have PTSD from the blizzard,
Yeah.
Again, a mental hotline should have been provided at the end of that. I mean, I woke up 3 a.m., no power, go to the fuse box by myself. I have no idea what I'm doing in the snow, and then get outside and there's all this snow, and I'm falling down trying to get to the fuse box, now soaking wet, no power, no phone wasn't working. I mean, it was horrifying. So, I guess there's a little PTSD with a lot of us when the lights go out. We panic. And, but they tell you what time it comes back on. And so my friends in that kind of, in those job sectors have informed me that they can only tell you what time it's coming back on when they know what time they're turning it back on. So, clearly we've got some load issues that need to be addressed. I'm not sure that they feel that way at ABI. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, we just saw that with the entire airport. Yeah. And why did we invest in all those solar panels if we're not going to store the energy? And, there's just I've got a background in oil and gas, well, mostly natural gas policy. And I don't know, the whole thing just frustrates the hell out of me. I'm sorry, but it's just not correct. And until we get our water, I mean, a couple more floods, we're boiling water again. So we've got to fix what we have and serve the people with reliable utilities before we can add on. And yeah, so that's kind of where I start with that before I even really get into all the land development. Yes, they all need to be updated greatly, but man, let's figure out what the problems there are and how many people we can serve before we start stacking them in. Okay. Even though I'm a big proponent of Eco Devo, I don't want to say like let's just put a barrel over us and call it a day, but I just don't want to see it getting worse.
One of the things that I love about Mueller is we are the largest single solar installation in Texas. In fact, this house produces more energy than it uses.
But you get to use it.
But we use that, but the trouble is we don't get paid for the extra energy we use. The system is not set up for that. And so we put in too much solar power, but okay, fine. But you're right, we have no storage. So if the system goes down, we go down.
I know, unless it's a sunny day.
No, even if it's a sunny day, because
really?
it requires being tied into the grid for this to work. And so, yeah, the cost of storage is coming down. They're changing technology and everything else, and there's some new things coming along the line that are going to make it work for a homeowner to put a thing in a garage that has got enough power for at least 24 hours, kind of thing. Because the Tesla batteries don't do that. You may get 6 to 8 hours.
Right.
And, we are generating here, I think, every year about 123% of what we use. Now, that's not every day, but on a nice cloudy day, lots of sunshine, but cloudy enough to keep the temperature down, yeah, we generate way more than we use. So it can be done. We know it can be done. The technology's there, and like you said, we've got a lot of experts in this town on this subject.
Exactly, and I'm a huge proponent of natural gas. I know we've got plenty of it. I don't want to get into production issues or anything like that, but it is an available power choice that we have plenty of. And the grid serves more gas than it does coal, and that's what's kind of getting us in trouble. And I hate to say that, but everybody's got a different story on why that is, but they don't all make sense.
Yeah, and then sitting out there, of course, and I'll tell you, my side of it is the whole fossil fuel industry needs to go away. And I've made my living in that industry for a long time because it's killing us. The burning natural gas, is basically killing us, but what do we do until we get there?
Right, that's what I'm saying. This isn't it, but we can't wait to rebuild everything to fix the problem we have now. I know Austin has gone into kind of like a crazy system of just like these carte blanche overhaul plans and got kind of like the basics of maybe we should target the most problem area with a small solution called a pilot project and see how that works, and then expand from there. Use lessons learned so it's not just an overwhelming catastrophic people on the street everywhere kind of situation. Can't imagine that happening. Imagine. But yeah.
So Kym, I've seen, something I saw you posting said 25 plus years in such and such oil and gas, I guess, kind of stuff. How old are you, Kym?
50.
50. Okay.
I just turned 50.
Just turned 50.
I don't know that makes a bunch of difference.
Well, it doesn't, but it gives me a context of what you grew up.
Right.
What was going on in the world as you were growing up and those kind of things.
Aquafest.
Aquafest, yeah.
I mean, that was
awesome.
My birthday every year. Because my birthday was August 8th, so
there you go.
I always got to have an Aquafest party. Maybe we can bring
that back, yeah.
For the community, not the world.
Austin's got one of the largest growing aging populations in the nation. One of the problems with that is that the people coming along behind them, the cohort of population coming along behind them is smaller. So we're going to get into the situation where we don't have caregivers for that population. The people, the baby boomers are turning 76 this year,
right.
I think. Wow. By the way, I'm a pre-baby boomer. I was born during World War II, so yeah. But we have to start thinking about what do we do with this aging population? Do we have the facilities to deal with them? For instance, here's Mueller, a planned unit development where we looked at everything and we said, okay, we got it right. Yeah, but as soon as I have that first stroke or whatever and I can't take care of myself, I have to leave Mueller. I pretty much have to go somewhere else to get into assisted living. So yeah, we didn't quite get it right. We got it right for a younger group. Okay, so there's no facilities here for me as I age out.
Right.
Which is a shame because that means I leave my group, I leave my friends, I leave all my support and have to start over again at a much older age and at a fixed income.
Exactly.
So where do we go with that in Austin as a whole? Because it's not just Mueller. There's other places where
it's
we're
everywhere.
Yeah,
and
you're
I
all
think,
getting older.
I hope they are. They are. And and I think with some of these, I don't know. I don't really know how to deal with that, honestly. I think there's I see what they're doing in the 38th, off 38th Street, that area over there. They seem to have some good assisted living, but I'm at that age where we're shopping, and if you will, and you're right. There aren't. I mean, the options. It's slim pickings, and and they're just scattered about. None of them are very convenient, and the ones that are, a lot of people are going to need to die before you can get on that way. I mean, it's just the way it is. And I don't know. I think that's one of the areas I'd like to explore next. And I talked to my sister a little bit because she does work a little bit in that field. And she was just went off on a tangent. I didn't get to ask any questions about them moving the Central Texas facility to South Austin now, that for seniors. Mm-hmm. And they were completely opposed to that because the seniors didn't want to go to Austin. So that was an interesting take on the situation. But she's definitely one-sided. I don't really know the whole story yet, so I don't want to quote that.
Well, the city's got some great senior centers.
Right.
Conda Guerrero over here in East Austin is just an amazing facility. And they do good programming, really nice, Every Monday they have Tai Chi for seniors, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's so it's really a good facility, good staff, good programs. But goodness, it can't service all of the seniors on the east side.
Right.
Yeah.
There needs to be more thought put into that. Right. There really does, because I think I think that also can be tied into the transportation part of this too.
That's the next issue. We're coming to that.
Because now you've got people that can drive to work, but they might not want to. A lot of different. They certainly can't ride a bike, and but are fine to. Well, I know. I'm not saying, but not all of them. I can't ride a bike now. No coordination.
That's why I love trikes.
That's why I wanted to see that. I was like, I want to see this trike. Yeah. I'm curious. It sounds like I could be safe on one, but it's we're kind of forcing them into a transportation system, and if we don't clean up the public safety, I wouldn't want to put my mom on a bus. So, and that's a sad reality, but
it is, because we're getting ready to spend a lot of money on Project Connect. And, you're going to be right in the middle of that. If you're a council member, you're going to be right in the middle of those discussions about how we're going to spend that money. And that's, the budget is $5 billion, but the money we're spending on Project Connect is bigger than that. And it potentially is twice that. Mm-hmm. Now, we're spending it not over 1 year, but we're spending it over 10, 12 years. Yeah, okay, I get that. But that's a lot of money, and that's something we need to do right. We really need to get that one right. I am convinced, and I've got a background in bicycling and all that kind of stuff, but I am convinced that one of the worst things that ever happened to this country was the interstate system, because it allowed us to spread out, move people all over the country, and do it all by car. And that's coming back to bite us, because just like you were talking about, you want a walkable community. You don't want to have to get in your car and go to the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
But I, push comes to shove, I'd rather get in my car than wait for a bus to go to the grocery store.
But if we cleaned up the bus system, because we know it works.
Right.
If you've ever been to Amsterdam or
Yeah, of course.
it works fine. It works good.
We'll just take
25% of all the trips of people over 75 in Amsterdam are made by bike. 25%. Isn't that amazing?
So,
don't give me those numbers. It's the truth,
But I mean, they also have better weather for biking.
Some.
I
got a lot of snow.
Oh, I only go there. I've never been there during that part of the year, but I just,
And it's flat.
I found hills.
Yeah.
Didn't go
over the canals.
Didn't go over me. But I wish it could have, because it sure would have made life a lot easier, I mean, and then we have, what are our other options now? The ride shares. At what point is that not the big football game tomorrow? I'm in walking distance of the Capitol, and so arguably to the stadium and to the tailgates and all of that good stuff. It cost, you can get an Uber, I could get an Uber home for like maybe $60. At what point is this not price gouging? Yeah. I don't understand why we can't just save our receipts and turn them in to somebody on, I don't know that we get a lot of help, but but I don't know why this isn't, and I plan to bring this issue up on a bigger level just because it's driving me crazy. Because you can sit there after a football game and at one time go $60 and do it again, and I'm like, well, isn't this supposed to be here so we're not driving, and this isn't working? Let's get everything to work before we start taking more away. I think that's not a good idea until we see that we can have a functioning system before we start. Yeah. Well, we'll just take the cars off Guadalupe. All of a sudden, overnight, what are the people going to do? They're going to go down Lamar, burn it, and just put more cars down there. I don't think...
Or maybe park.
And then how would they, again, and then you're also, I think a lot of the people are under the assumption, everybody wants to live downtown. And that's not, we really need better numbers on this whole thing. And to take that amount of cars off would just be a fiasco. We see what construction in just one lane does over there as it is.
So that leads us to an interesting question. What do you think about the I-35 expansion? The TxDOT plan.
That's the thing, and that's the whole thing with the redlining, because if you read all the what was it, Calle Ancha history and all of that kind of stuff, that's where we got in trouble, is that I-35. I would like to see that little divide between the East and West Austin just go away, and maybe we could work with, I know they have a lot of money, and I know that the plans aren't even close to a final stage. I think there's ways we can work with the state and just see in the planning process and see what we can do to make it at least agreeable to everybody on some manner. I know it won't be on all levels, but at least one common thread, because that's the only way we're going to start. And, if we shake it out long enough, but I sure would like to see the great, what do they call it, the great racial divide. That's embarrassing, and we're supposed to have, a more diverse city, and we're not a diverse city at all.
We are losing diversity.
Yes, and go to you go to happy hour in Houston or Dallas or any of the cool new places in town, and it looks like it should look like. Here it does not. No. And it just.
And so you're sitting here as a white woman?
Yes.
Saying that?
Last time I checked.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But that really bothers me, and I don't really like the word redlining for that matter. So, but I guess a lot of people don't know or don't care. But they should read the history. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, starting in 1928, it got very, very interesting. Yes. We just did a charrette about Hancock, which is, almost in our neighborhood.
Right.
The Hancock Center. And we've got to do something with that. Sears is down, HEB is talking about changing, So something's got to happen there. what an amazing asset this city has in that space that we could do something with. And so, yeah, it's, boy, it's exciting to think about what could happen there, because now you've got access to bus lines, the red line train goes right through there. It just, wow.
Right.
You know, it just, what opportunities we have for doing something with that. And it, you know, how about affordable housing? How about if HEB built a store with housing above so you could get in your elevator and come down to the grocery store? Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, the other places down there, I was born at St. David's right next to
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So I guess I was born in the district. And Hancock used to be a fun place. Like, I remember as a kid, I think you got it with the stamp store was there where you, or
Okay.
I don't remember exactly, but where you turned in the little booklets. But yeah, that place is
So
just.
you collected green stamps?
Well, it was like always the grandmother project.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it was just licking stamps to keep me quiet for a little bit. Anyway, but I had a storage place down there. I don't like storage places. I'm not doing that again. If I can't sort through my stuff myself, that's
Yep.
just, or I'm living on top of it. Either way. But yes, and it just frightened me, saddened me. I don't even know what the right word for it. And the golf course, they had the master. They had the Masters there one time. That's just amazing. It's just terrible. And I lived over there for a little bit, where 43rd Street dead ends right into the river. Yes, I lived over there when I was in grad school. I went to the LBJ school too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I saw that you'd gone to Baylor and the LBJ.
Yeah.
Okay. Texas girl.
Very much so. Very much a Central
And
Texas.
a live music enthusiast.
And a live music enthusiast and a Longhorn. This is going to be a great
okay.
weekend.
All right.
Yeah, I can't wait. So already excited. I think I've been excited all week about the football game.
I married into a Longhorn family, my first marriage. My mother-in-law was valedictorian of the class of 38.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
smart mother-in-law.
Yeah. Well, luckily my kids picked up on that, my grandchildren, they've all picked up on that.
Good.
But to have a woman go through college in that time and become valedictorian, smart woman.
Right.
But she worked for Jake Pickle and with Lloyd Doggett, both.
I still have a pickle pen.
All right. All right.
My mom used to work for Barbara Jordan.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah,
what a great lady.
She came to the hospital when I was born.
Ah, good history.
I got a little
Good
blessing of
history.
goodness.
Yeah. Kim, this has been fun.
It has been fun.
It's lots of different discussions, lots of different issues that are coming up. We've talked on aging and transportation and affordability, I-35. What's your message to Mueller, which, and one of the reasons we're doing this is Mueller, when it bills out, will be bigger than Elgin or Bastrop or Fredericksburg or anyway. It's going to be a big city in its own.
Right.
And we've got 140 acres of green space that are in parks and that kind of stuff that are open to the community because they're all city parks.
Right.
And so what should we be thinking about in terms of your candidacy? What do you want us to hear?
Y'all have done such a great job over here, though. I mean, the way this was planned out and put in and had the infrastructure that I'm talking about already thought through, including sewer lines, and which, yeah. Houston didn't. At one time, they decided to build all those condos in Midtown. It didn't just flood everybody's home in Montrose. I had some friends there. It's not funny. But y'all have done such a great job. And I think probably one of your biggest things that I could help with is help bring back the walkability. And I want everybody to remain, this is such a great little community, and the safety, because I know y'all are having some problems over here too. And certainly don't want all that creeping in, because it is going to be its own kind of community and burb, I guess you will, in and of itself. And I think we could learn a lot from the way this was done, honestly.
Yeah.
I really do. I think y'all kind of have it, I hate to say that, probably the most together.
Well, part of what makes us happy about this community is 24% of all residences are in the affordable program. So that's part of it. And, you know, our objective, one of the 6 tenets of Mueller, was to make housing diverse. And we did it.
Right.
We've got single family homes, but we've got condos, we've got apartments, we've got affordable apartments, we've got elderly apartments, we've got, you know, 6-plexes, 4-plexes, we've got courtyards where there's no street in front of the houses. All the houses face on the courtyard. And we have like 7 or 8 of those in Mueller where the houses face on the courtyard and people get in the alleys and back. So people were thinking about how a city should look. And there's a street over there that's been in there for 10 years now. You know, 10 or 15 years now we've been here. And there's a street that's been in, and the trees have grown up, and the houses are, you know, all along. And you go down that street and you say, this is what a neighborhood should look like.
Exactly.
And I can walk in it, and I've got, oh look, over there there's two families living in that house over there in that building. Okay, and you know, right down there there's an apartment complex with 200 people, you know, and it just makes so much sense.
And notice how it was done. I mean, it was done the right way from the bottom up, bit by bit. It wasn't, this is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. It was literally, gosh, I guess it's been a long time because it's ever since, I don't want to count. But,
you know, the last airplane was in May of 1999.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know, that's a long time.
That is a long time.
So I think 2004, when the original agreement was signed, it got this started. And here we're coming up on 24. So
I remember I was
we're
working
20 years out.
Oh, wow. I was working at the Railroad Commission at the time.
Which has nothing to do with railroads.
No, nothing to do with railroads.
No, TxDOT, which does everything with highways, is supposed to deal with railroads, right?
Well, as they relate to intrastate, but now all railroads are interstate, so they're the feds. We get safety. We can put up a safety banner, but that's about it.
Okay.
But I do know back in the day when I worked there, somebody got hit by a train, which happens a lot back then, which was awful. But I had to wear a pager around and call the commissioner. It was a horrible job. But I mean, my job was fantastic. I shouldn't say that, but I loved my job. But that was just the horrible part of it.
So you've got history at the state level.
I do.
Have you ever held an office of any sort?
No.
Yes, you have. What's your job with the state
Oh,
government?
well, I didn't. That doesn't really count, does it?
Of course it does. It's
Well,
experience. Tell us about that, Captain.
El Capitan.
El Capitan. Okay.
Yeah, if I'm not in uniform.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of the last crazy thing I did, and I kind of just learned about the Texas Guard, and I was like, well, this sounds like something I could do, and I have it given the private Benjamin moments, but I have beyond enjoyed it, and clearly have been in there a long time now, and I just kind of I just feel good when I go out there. Now I've been helping write all their policy and getting them in shape, and and doing what I can to assist benefits for the people that we have deployed, because this is the first time we've done a big deployment of that nature, and it's so just making sure everybody gets what they need and gets the recognition they deserve. There's a lot of really good people, and they all have really good hearts, and I've met so many wonderful people and learned. Now I know 3 alphabets: American, Greek, and military. But yes, I very much enjoy it, and I think that's kind of like I know we've all kind of had some of those over COVID, I was just like, I really kind of started giving back more and getting more involved on the Guard side when that was happening, just because I didn't want to be at home by myself.
Okay.
I needed to talk to somebody other than my animals, and so I kind of went up to the SOC for a little bit, the command center that's run by the Texas Department of Emergency Management. And it was yes, well, it wasn't right there because of COVID. They had to space us out,
Spread it out.
yeah. So it was different, but it was a really cool operation to watch it in motion and see, like, get the calls from the cities, get that supply, get the whole process. Oh, we can get that. There'd be tables of logistics. It was just really kind of neat, and the TVs all around, and I just kind of very much enjoyed going back to the public service side of everything. It seems to be a lot more fun than anything.
Okay, so
that's about it.
you're probably not crazy.
Yeah.
You've probably got some background in this stuff. You have some really strong feelings about stuff that needs to change.
Yes, I just hope people agree.
So you're going to step up and put yourself out there and see what happens.
I mean, about time I put my money where my mouth was. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll give it a shot.
So I think you have to have a treasurer.
I do. I do.
But I haven't been able to find a website.
Oh, that's all the work. Because again, I was trying to talk myself out of this, and it was, I mean, because I started planning this and wanting to do this early on, and then there were other opportunities, and I was like, I should do this, and worked as hard as I could to talk myself out of this, and then at the last minute, I was like, blank. I'm going, yeah, so
let's go look at your Twitter, your LinkedIn, and your Facebook site. So this is your Facebook site, and one of the things I wanted to point out to people is this lovely picture here. Let's see if we can get it up. There it is. So this is what I think of as Kym as an Ann Richards lookalike. I remember that picture of her in that big white Harley. What an amazing woman she was.
Oh, wasn't she cool though?
Yeah.
I mean, just the epitome of Texas.
Yeah. So that's your site, and you had a birthday celebration, it looks like.
That was my 5-0.
Big 5-0.
The big 5-0.
Wow. You get it up in lights.
I did, and I don't even play an instrument. I never thought I'd see the day. I was so excited. I'm like, my name's in lights. Maybe it's just to keep me off the stage from playing it.
There you go. And then we go to, is this... that's LinkedIn, I think. Is that LinkedIn or Twitter? That's LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't have my glasses on.
And so I got that lovely banner that I put up earlier. That's part of it. Here's the other part of it, and it's over on Twitter. And that's the one that says Austin City Council 9, right there. Right.
And there's a start of a web page. It just doesn't have any content. So yes, it'll be KYM for ATX.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we've got a lot of that, Greg for Austin, Ben for Austin. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
My friends just didn't like my ATX AF. They were like, no, ma'am. Hopefully that could be.
Okay. So, Kym Olson, running for Austin City Council, District 9, and Kym, we're going to wrap it up there.
Awesome.
Okay, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
This will be put together and probably out in the next 24 hours. I will send you a link, and you can pass it around and say, hey, look what I just did.
I totally will. I absolutely will. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Well, thank you, ma'am.